Yeah, I mean, if you're going into software engineering in 2026, err on the side of knowing more about system design principles, right? More than you want to learn, be really, really good at a programming language. Because now the new language of the internet is becoming just English, because now you can prompt in order to get results.
Again, HackerproofHQ, we're back, and again, we are with Big Poppy Code.
Big
Papa
Papa
Code.
Big Papa
All the way
Code.
from Atlanta. You know, it's great having you here. We were supposed to have this podcast a long time ago, but every season has its reasons.
Right.
Like that.
Right,
and now we
right.
have you here. It's a great honor. I'll let you introduce yourself.
Yeah, definitely. I'm Arthur Bernier Jr., aka Big Papa Code. I've been a software engineer for a number of years. I was a technical co-founder of a couple of startups, one of them that raised 7 figures of venture capital from companies like Mac Ventures and Backstage Capital and also Twitter Ventures, etc. I've written my own programming language called Mambascript that's been used in production in a couple of applications.
Okay. Wow.
And then also I've worked on a lot of open source projects from Node SAS to a bunch of other ones. I've been coding for a minute. I learned to code in 2003.
Ooh.
So I've been coding for a minute, and I'm also a military veteran. And
Okay. Thanks for serving.
Thank you for your service, man.
no problem, no problem.
And you forgot the most important part. You have a Big Poppy Code podcast.
Yeah. So we got a podcast. It used to be called the Big Papa Code Podcast, and we rebranded to It's Deeper Than Code.
Okay. Cool.
Since halfway into season 1. And so now it's Deeper Than Code. And what we try to do during that podcast is talk about tech, but we talk about normally the way that tech impacts us directly in the world and in the future. So we tend to bring on a lot of people that are outside of tech and talk about, how they see technology interacting with, what they do day to day and things to kind of like try to empower the audience and, help, elevate their thinking. So that's what we try to focus on.
That makes sense.
Throughout your years in tech, you say you started in 2003? 2003?
2003. Yeah.
2003 is when I learned to code.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I kind of started in tech back then because back then I got really lucky, and it was really, really early in the time slot. And I worked at a after school program that needed a webmaster, and they were like, "Hey, you know how to code, so you could be the webmaster." They just was like, "We just need somebody to do it." So they brought me on to do it, and so I had to like do everything that had to do with their online presence. And so I got to do that from when I was a teenager.
Oh.
And then when I got into the military, because I don't want to talk about that now, but in between, sometimes people fall in love and have kids and stuff like that. And I had a kid kind of early, so I was like, "Hey."
Bless you.
Ooh, excuse me.
Bless you.
Sorry about that.
You're good.
Off the mic. But at the end of the day, I had a kid kind of early, and then so I joined the military because I know I would get benefits and all that stuff like that. So I did that, and then I realized really quick that the benefits were fine, but you don't get paid anything in the military. So then I started doing web development as like a side business. And I started making websites for a lot of like barbers and musicians and rappers and stuff like that. And so I did that for a while. I got out of the military and I kept freelancing. That was like my thing. And then I started like blending it together because I started working for a bunch of different startups. Yeah. I started meeting a lot of people that were like starting businesses and stuff like that. And yeah, that's kind of like how my story went. And then once I worked at a couple startups for a while, I got my first senior job in like 2018. And then since then I just been, things have been going well.
You've had so much accomplishment in tech, I can already tell by the way you speak and the way you're just telling me all the things you've done. What has been your biggest accomplishment so far that you could maybe say it stands out?
The biggest one that stands out.
Besides this nice pink suit you have on right now, what has been your biggest accomplishment?
That's a hard thing to answer, but from a technical sense, I felt really good when I got to make Mambascript production ready. And the reason for that is because I followed a guy who I ended up getting a chance to work for. His name is Jeff Nelson. He's the co-founder of Afrotech.
Oh.
And he made his own database system called Concourse DB, right? And he knows now, but at the time he didn't know, like, I was like stalking him basically.
Right.
And I was like, yo, this dude is so
Smart.
dope.
Yeah.
And he's so smart and da-da-da-da-da. And because I had wanted to get a job at MailChimp. He already was working at MailChimp. So now I had seen him that way and then saw stuff he was working. I was like, yo, if you need to be like that to work at MailChimp, I don't think I can get in there.
Yeah.
But I really admired the stuff that he was doing. And I was like, man, if I could ever, I would hope I can get to the point where I can do something like how he did. So when I ended up working for him at Blavity, because I just kept finding a bunch of different ways to finally bump into this dude.
You worked at Blavity too?
Yes, I ended up working at Blavity for him.
What haven't you done?
But I worked there, and then so I got the opportunity to be directly mentored by him. So like I'd be hyped every single time. I'd be like, okay, time to come to the office, have our one-on-one. I'm like, yes, I can't wait. And I would just ask him random stuff. He'd just answer whatever I would ask him.
Yeah.
So, he ended up telling me about venture capital. Then he told me about how he's running multiple businesses at the same time. Then he'll go and tell me, how he actually built Concourse DB, how it works, and da-da-da. And they start to demystify the process. I was like, I think I could build something like that. So I first tried to make this thing called Kofu.js. It does work. But Kofu.js wasn't really like production ready, but it was like my own front end framework. And then I learned about abstract syntax trees because him and another engineer were just talking about it randomly. I was like, oh, I could use abstract syntax trees to actually go ahead and build this language because I was just thinking about, what I would need to do. And I ended up doing that for Kofu.js. It would take JSX, just like React, and turn it into JavaScript. And then I was like, okay, I could do the same thing because I could take whatever my language is, the text of it, and I can convert that into the abstract syntax tree and then convert that abstract syntax tree into JavaScript code. And so I was like, okay, I could do that process. So that's how I ended up, working on the language. And there already was an engine that had already been made before for a language that's kind of dead now, but a lot of people used to use it, called CoffeeScript.
Right.
So there was a offshoot of CoffeeScript called CoffeeScript Redux that somebody had been working on. One of the actual people from TC39, the people that make the JavaScript language, like his name was Michael.
TC39, the people that made the JavaScript language.
Yeah, they're the technical committee 39. They're the ones who actually decide like what goes into the language each time. And Michael
That's
Fakara,
good information for people who don't know that.
Yeah. And Michael Fakara was one of the people on TC39 or associated. I can't guarantee he definitely worked with the TC39 committee. And he had abandoned a project where he started making an engine. So I was like, let me, it's all open source. So I was like, let me fork that.
Yeah, okay.
And then so this way I'm not starting from nowhere. I'm like, what better to do to get it from TC39?
Right.
So I forked that. I used what I learned from Jeff, and then I refactored it. He was using Peg.js and an ES CodeGen. And so, and I originally was going to use Babel, but I was like, ES CodeGen's already here.
Babel is a programming language?
Babel is a transpiler that will take your, let's say, ES 2025 code and then basically transpile it into ES 2015. So I like to tell people that you could take, it's like if we both speak a slang of English, right? Let's say I speak New York City English and somebody else speaks Houston, Texas English, right? We got different words, but we both understand regular English from school. So it'll take that Houston English or that New York English and then change it into regular stuff. So it'll take what's good and change it into hello. It'll take howdy and change it into hello. You know what I'm saying? It'll do that.
It's almost like a bridge.
Exactly. So
one thing I could also ask, you have a question?
Yeah, I mean, I think I was just gonna get into that a little bit. Because like a lot of people are still struggling to code, and you are here building your own programming languages. Like, how do you get started with that? Like, what's like the starting point?
You have to start from like as a kid, because we were speaking to someone earlier, and they talked about how if you're not starting from a younger age, that coding at the college level where you start working as a professional person, it's not easier to pick up all the skill set compared to someone who started from an earlier age. Is that true?
Yeah.
It's not true. I'll say this, right? I have one person, I don't want to throw their name out there, that
I'm just joking.
I'm not I don't know if he wants me to, but he was one of my students before, and he never knew how to code. And he was in one of my 6-month classes, and he went from not knowing how to code at all, and now he's a senior software engineer, and he just got a senior director role at a new company that he just got last week, as of the time we're filming this, that he just got, and he came from not knowing how to code at all. So the thing is not that you have to have already coded beforehand, but you have to learn the principles of coding as early as possible in your process. And it's the same thing as like when I was in the military, right? People that had been shooting guns their whole entire life, I hope nobody gets offended by guns, but at the end of the day, people that have been shooting guns their whole entire life, yeah, they know how to shoot a gun, but they don't know how to shoot it the right way because they didn't learn it the right way.
Yeah.
Right? But me, I had never shot a gun my entire life.
Yeah.
Right. And I barely ever even touched one before, whatever. Right. So I didn't know anything about guns, but I ended up being a weapons instructor. But I learned how to do it the right way from the beginning. So those other people had to like unlearn habits they already had.
So
It's the
the
same
people that
thing.
already had the gun experience had to
Unlearn.
Yeah.
They had to unlearn the things that they were used to doing. So so when it comes down to it, you have to learn how to code correctly.
Right.
And I have like a pattern that I use to kind of start teaching people how to code. It's this pattern called EDIP, right? Where you explain something, then you demonstrate it, then you give them a chance to imitate you, and then you give them something that they can practice.
Right.
And then you break down like what those key terminal objectives are that somebody needs to know in order to be effective as a programmer. And you EDIP each one of those things and make sure that they get each one of those things, and that normally gets them, has a high level of getting them over the line. That's why I've had like success with my students. But AI, does change things.
I have a question. So someone trying to be a software engineer or software developer in 2026, what are some tips to help them? Because you have years of experience that a lot of people don't have. And from everything you've seen, what is someone going into 2026 trying to be a software developer or engineer needs to know?
Yeah, I mean, if you're going into software engineering in 2026, you want to err on the side of knowing more about design principles than knowing more about, and I mean system design, not design as in colors and stuff. System design principles, right? More than you want to learn, be really, really good at a programming language. Because now the new language of the internet is becoming just English, because now you can prompt in order to get results.
Right.
So what I focus on now is I focus on making sure that you're good at prompting, right? I just did a 2-day prompt engineering certification at Afrotech, and we had a 98% success rate. 98% of people actually got certified.
What cert is that though?
It's just AI basics, the intern Excel AI basic certification, and just taught them basic prompt engineering. But you got to know how to actually correctly communicate with the LLM.
Oh yeah, okay. So that's prompt engineering.
Exactly. And then once you know that, then the next thing is knowing how to actually put software together. Like what's a front end, what's a back end, what are observables, what is this pattern, that pattern, client server model, like learning how those things fit together.
Client server model.
Yep. Once you figure that part out, then it's all about, okay, now can I read code and perceive it? Which, like a lot of times when you learn a language or whatever, people can learn how to speak it, but they don't know how to read it. But now that's the focus now. Can you read the generated code and reason about what you're seeing?
Yeah.
And when you learn those things in succession, that's how you can get super effective today.
That makes sense.
And so that's like the goal. But you really need to get those system design principles down, because once you know that and you know how to prompt well, then you can tell it to build exactly what you need. And if you can read the code that's generated and reason about what you see there, then you can fact check what's there, and also testing. So and that's the last thing. Like, don't count on AI to write the test for you. It can do it, but now what you want to be able to do is write the test of every single feature that you want yourself, and then have AI write the code, and then you test it to make sure that it works with your stuff. That's gonna accelerate you, make you move faster.
Because I was gonna say, system design, I feel like is really a key part of every part of tech. Because I don't know if you know, some interviews that you go on, there's a segment for designer of the system, how you can put two things together. Okay, you have I don't know if on the cloud there's this 3-tier model where you have your public server, on top you have your app servers and have your database servers to get like below.
Data going to
Exactly.
type
So
of
I feel like that
architecture.
system design and that system architecture is really key in every part of tech, like cloud engineering, cloud architecture, coding too, as well, like you said. So
Right.
yeah.
I have a question though. So through this your journey, right? What has been like your biggest struggle, or what something that you overcame with time?
Biggest struggle that
throughout the years.
Yeah,
Anything
throughout
that-
the years,
anything
like your
that made you
experience,
sweat.
like it could be people, it could be job related, technical.
yeah, I think like imposter syndrome at first, because you hear me tell my story.
Yeah.
It sounds cool now to say it that way, but when I say, okay, I learned to code in 2003, right, and then I worked as a webmaster, I used to not be ashamed of that, but like, oh, that's not like I didn't go working nowhere crazy. I was just working at a nonprofit, just learning this stuff or whatever.
Right.
That doesn't, to me, it's like at the time it was like, okay, it makes me feel less than. Then I was in the military, but I was being a web developer on the side. I worked on a bunch of different projects.
Right.
But then once I got out of the military and I'm like trying to present that to other people, I'm like, oh, they're not really gonna see it as nothing because like I learned it on my own. I didn't, whatever. So it was like a odd background.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that made me feel like maybe I'm not, as good as these other people. And then finally, when I finally meet some of these other software engineers or whatever that just did a 4-year program or did this or did that, and I know more than them because they don't have the hands-on experience, I start to realize the value in what I know. There's value in what they learn. There's value in what I know too
Right.
from my hands-on experience.
Is that when you started getting over it?
That's when I started getting over it. Once I started working at the startups and I was sitting next to people that just graduated from Berkeley and graduated from here and graduated from there. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like you value what I have. And then finally when I, cause I really look up to Jeff, he has a different background than mine. When he brought me on to his team, right? He introduced me like this guy's gonna change the whole trajectory of the team. He introduced me like he just signed LeBron James.
Right.
I was like, I
Crazy
wasn't no
pressure.
pressure. I was like, yeah, like I don't know. My personality is when somebody says to me that I believe in you and I think you're gonna do well, I want to rise to the occasion. I get more stressed when somebody that I have to work for doesn't believe in me. Right. When you don't believe me, I'm like, man,
It push you down.
maybe you know something I don't know,
Yeah.
which is not good. Since I've gotten older, I've kind of gotten over that, but I've never gotten over the fact that if you come and you say, I think that this guy's going to kill it, and you feel like I know that I have you believing in me behind it,
Right.
then I'm super locked in and I do my best
Do your
work
best,
in that situation. And that's like, go where you're celebrated, not tolerated, right?
Oh yeah.
So
That's key.
I think we switch gear a little bit because you're also a founder of so many different things and you've founded so many organizations. So what are some advice you want to give to founders out there who are just starting off or who are seasoned founders but are still struggling with some areas of being a founder?
yeah, I've definitely learned a lot in that process. And what I could say is the thing that and I'm still learning because I'm working on a startup right now that and I haven't really publicly talked about what I'm building.
Right.
I'll say it now. I don't mind.
Yeah.
So what I'm doing right now is I'm making a piece of technology that essentially tries to fix the deepfake problem. And essentially what the goal is to be able to make it so that companies or individuals, influencers, whatever, can use cryptography to verify the fact that that certain material came from them.
Yeah.
It wasn't generated from another source. So basically,
from Deepfake,
yeah. So somebody can take that content, put it into the platform, and verify that this is legitimate from that source.
But what kind of thing would that? Oh, go ahead.
I
Yes.
was gonna say, so is that going to base on like
Pictures.
encryption, or is it gonna base on hash, or
Hash,
what is it
yeah.
gonna be?
It's gonna be based on a couple things. So first, it has a couple of lines because the first thing is if it's an exact copy of the video, then we'll already have the hash. So it'll be the same hash no matter what. So that's an automatic check. That's like the first thing we check. It's like a tier, right?
Yeah.
We've already checked. Boom. That's the same thing.
What if the
right?
video was edited? Would it still keep the same hash?
And then the video's edited.
Yeah,
the hash
yeah,
won't
it's
work
different.
anymore.
Yep,
because
yep,
it's different.
It has to change.
And then now we can analyze the audio content, et cetera, of the video using AI to actually look at it and say that is whether it was edited or not, that's the same information that was said here. So that is a true rendering of what our words
Platform
are.
is.
Yeah.
And then like it keeps going layers deep and deeper and deeper.
So you have like 5-7 checks before.
And it's
But-
way more than 7.
but-
it's,
but like-
it's a lot.
Yeah, but like, isn't that crazy? We're actually using AI to figure out AI.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes. You know,
Inception.
But if it's the
So-
exact copy of the video, then it's like, you know, because basically every section of the video is going to be is going to be hashed. Right. So it's not just going to be like a hash of the whole video. It's going to be a hash of the whole video, yes. And then like individual pieces of it
Yeah.
down to like, so if you take like a 3-second clip, you have a hash of,
Oh,
of every
that's
single
amazing.
possible version of it. And then we could do that on the fly. We don't have to do it like, we don't have to already have it done. It's just like, that sounds like it's from this part. Let's check it here. Boom. Let's see if we can match it. And so we're trying to verify the content.
So just 1 tool to verify everything.
Exactly. That's what we're going to. That's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Now, will we be able to fully do it? I don't know, but I feel pretty good about
Nah,
my
that's-
skills. I think that we'll be
that's-
able to.
that's-
do
When
that's
it.
will the
usually-
MVP be out?
I don't know. I will have a prototype soon.
Okay.
That's a working prototype. I won't call it an MVP, but that's what I will, approach for funding on.
Okay.
And but I'm not at the stage where I'm ready to because I'm gonna bring on another co-founder or whatever. But I realized that you don't want to bring everybody on your founding team before you need them,
Right.
right? So at this stage, I want to have the technology, and then I'm gonna bring on some founders that are GTM focused people.
What is GTM?
Go to market.
Go to market.
Oh,
So
okay,
so like that are like that to come up with a plan of what needs to be in the MVP, what are the table stakes, what
yeah.
needs to be there, and then we can go ahead
back
and
to
bring it. But I don't want to do that and the technology, in parallel. I want the technology sound, and then we're just building, things for the user on top of the technology in ways that they know would be effective. So this way it's easy for them. It's not like they have to come back to me and be like, it's still broken. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
they're still being built. Like that's not the end. That's not what I want. And that's something that I learned from what my previous experiences is that it's very hard to have GTM going at the same time as you don't have the product and you're building the product, right? Because then you guys start to butt heads about what needs to be made. Sometimes you don't have a choice, but when you have a choice, it's good to have the technology sound and then just be building something on top of it.
This
Yeah,
thing
but
that
I
speak
feel,
my
I feel,
interest, man.
yeah, no, because I feel like that's beautiful because I feel like deepfake is one of the biggest threats to cyber now these days. I don't know if you guys seen that movie that Annalise Keating was in. What's her name? I can't remember. But they deepfaked photos and some ministers as well, and they were saying some crazy
What's
stuff.
the movie star?
What's that woman that did How to Get Away with Murder? I can't remember her name.
Oh,
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't see that movie though.
Oh yeah, they deepfake POTUS, Secretary of State and stuff like that, and they were saying some crazy shit on the internet.
Is it new?
bro,
Yeah, it's like last year or so.
incorporating that
Bollocks.
in like Teams and all those kind of apps.
Oh, you'll be
Yeah,
And you also
scamming
heard, right?
For
There's
the
a lot about
interviews and stuff
deepfake
like
in
that.
interviews now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Go
I've
on,
seen
using
That's what I'm
deep-
saying. Integrating in Teams, you don't even need to continue the interview. 5 minutes, you
You
do a security
cancel-
check.
Kill it.
you
Do a security
cancel
check
that
at
interview.
first. If they don't
Bro.
pass that certain requirement, just end the call.
And the call,
End
straight
the
up.
call.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Well-
man, that's an amazing idea, man.
Yeah.
And also, we're getting close to the end. This is where we give the chance to our guests to maybe learn about more, ask us any question about us or what we do, or if they have any kind of feedback for us, we give the guests the chance to provide those feedback to us. So, is there anything you have for us?
I mean, I don't have anything prepared in my mind, but what I will say is, I mean, I like your setup. I like that you're trying to build the brand, like that the focus is on the brand, not on any individual. I think that means that you'll be able to package it and sell it or do whatever or different things like that. It's not the Joe Budden podcast or something like that. It's
Right.
HackerproofHQ. I think that's really dope. Like your setup is put together really, really well.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
And yeah, I've been liking y'all stuff for a minute. So and I've seen a lot of growth.
Growth,
in
yeah.
it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. man.
Thank you so
Appreciate it.
much.
Thank you.
man.
And is there anything you want to share that you're working on that, this is going to go in the description of the video. And it's also good to be able to put what you're working on out there. You never know who's listening. You never know who you could find. You never know that co-founder you're looking for could be right there listening to us. Is there anything you want to share to the audience that's watching this podcast now?
I mean, a couple things. I mean, one thing that I want to start doing, I haven't really been working on Mambascript for the last 3 years. I want to start getting some open source contribution for that. So, I mean, if you want to work on Mambascript, you can find it on NPM. You could also find it on GitHub. And, I mean, you can download it on your machine. The README explains everything, but feel free to reach out to me. And, you know, if you want to contribute to it, there's a bunch of things that still I want to add to it, like async await and some other things inside of it, and generators. So there's, and I want to add some more stuff with generics also. So if you know what those things are and you're, you know, a nerd and you want to jump on that stuff, I mean, let me know. The other thing is, you know, for regular people in general, I've created for the regular folks, I created this thing called the AI plug library, which you know, people can buy. It's not expensive, but basically it has a whole bunch of AI automations already built into it, a whole bunch of prompts, and some information about vibe coding frameworks and playbooks and stuff like that that regular people can just use in order to build stuff. And without needing a developer to help them, because I'm already a software engineer, I put it together so that it works that way from the beginning. So if you just apply those principles, like especially in the vibe coding frameworks, I tell you exactly what to tell the LLM so that it can generate you the code exactly the way that you want it. That'll be, you know, as close to production ready as possible, and then you know, and kind of go from there. So that's something that people could pick up. And also, if you just want automations, you want to have like an AI agency or you want to do AI flipping or something like that, you can use like the 4,000 or so automations that I have in there. And literally, you could just drag and drop them into N8N, and then boom, you got the automation without having to write any code, and you just can, you know, build stuff for clients. And also, I white label that too. So if you have like an agency and you want to resell that, you know, you could pay a fee, and then I'll just literally give you a copy of all that stuff I just said, rewritten using AI in your brand voice.
Okay. I have one question. You know, you talked about software engineer and software developer. What's the big difference? Because I don't really know the difference myself. I don't know if you guys know the difference.
Not a real difference. And anything I would say here would just be me being extra pedantic. So they're the same thing.
Okay.
There was one last question though. People say software developers or engineers are not like socially friendly or cooperative. Like, how do you feel about that?
There are definitely a lot of people that fall into that metric, but there's plenty of us that are, you know,
Social
pretty personable and social.
Yeah.
So it really depends on the person. There's no
there's no one fit for all.
Exactly.
Well, in that case, it was great having you, Eartha, or Big Poppy Code.
Big Papa Code.
Big
Papa Code. And glad you're here. Glad also his platform. He has a coding podcast platform. So you guys follow up.
It's deeper than code.
It's deeper than code. He's everywhere. He had Dr. Umar. Respect to Dr. Umar. And just keep growing. And we're here to support. We're here to support, you know, Black excellence. That's all I can say. Peace out.
Peace out.
Peace.